Grab a cup of coffee, and today we're going to talk about the scariest thing I have ever done in my homeschooling. Hey everyone, this video is going to last as long as it takes my kids to be able to sleep in, and you'll see in tomorrow's video I'm basically filming our first full day back to school for our first day of our second semester back to school after our much needed Christmas vacation that we took. But today I'm going to talk about what you saw in the title of first semester of school with little to no curriculum. I don't know how I'll word it in the title yet. I'm kind of waiting to see how to do it. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this because this was terrifying to me at first. Was how do I just not use a full curriculum to teach my kids, and how are they still going to learn what they need to learn every single day? So let's start off with when we honestly 100% started when we adopted Izzy. When she first came to live with us, I was talking with the counselor. Basically, there's some legal stuff I'm not going to tell you about her past, her history, and her previous schooling and all that. Just it was really complicated, and it's her story to tell, not mine. And also because she's a minor, legally I'm not going to share that unless she wants to share it when she becomes an adult, and I will fully support her decision in that. So there were things that changed after we adopted her, but one of the biggest things was I was talking with a counselor from our umbrella school, and I was like, you know, she just learns so much different than all of my other kids. Well, come to find out, no, one of the other kids learns the exact same way as she does. So now I have 2 visual learners and 2 advanced placement reading learners. And I'm not saying that if you're a visual learner you can't be advanced placement, but through this we have discovered some strengths and weaknesses with our kids that we just kind of, you know, tolerated getting through. And it wasn't like we weren't paying attention to our kids' needs. It was the fact that until we had this opportunity to have the freedom to teach the way we've wanted to teach this whole time, we didn't see these strengths and weaknesses. But now we know that we have 2 visual learners and 2 reading learners, and both those reading learners needed advanced placement classes. And I know people are like, well, you're homeschooling, how can you say your kids need advanced placement classes? There's just milestones that, I mean, even if your kids are in public school, there's milestones. If your kid hits here and here and here, you know. So we started, you know, checking off all the list of things to do. And one of the things that we found out was, yeah, number 1, those 2 were advanced placement. They needed the harder classes without like classes that did a lot of filler work. So like Abeka was a great curriculum for like meeting those 2's needs for the advanced placement classes, but Abeka had so much filler work with outdated curriculum, with outdated resources and teaching styles that they weren't really even thriving under that, because it was stuff that they weren't using in realistic teaching and realistic life. So for those 2, they needed something that met their advanced placement needs without being so stressful of, I have 3 pages of vocabulary words to look up for 1 class and still have 4 more classes to go. So that's kind of where we are with those 2. I'm sorry, I'm like fidgety with all of my face, hair, and all that. Again, I'm up and early and have had my cup of coffee, but the kids are fixing to get up. So then let's go back to the other 2. So the other 2 being visual learners. They needed a curriculum that they could learn watching. They don't get as, like one of my visual learners loves reading, but she loves reading in her free time. She does not do well, like this is you learning, you have to learn how to do this step by step from reading. She's better with, and like if you look at real world today, there were several things recently you've seen us build and do things that we do, like putting dressers together. Guess what? When you get a dresser assembly, there's picture instructions and written instructions. So like, yes, the world shows that some people are going to learn better from looking at it to assemble it than reading the instructions on assembling it. So like even in real world, this is a thing. This is a thing that they can accommodate and meet their needs. And she's an incredibly smart learner. She just needs a picture to see it. And I'm kind of like a combination of both, because I can do the written work, I can do the reading work, but there's sometimes I need to visibly see it for me to be able to finish the task that I'm I'm working on. So like, I get that. And then my husband and I were talking about it, like, you know, everybody's that way. Adults are that way. So it was really cool to just like, okay, we need to start over from scratch. Not like completely start over like from kindergarten, but we needed to just completely go from a blank slate and say, okay, what do we need to actually meet our kids' needs? And I'm so thankful for our guidance counselors through Home Life Academy and how they have just taken us step by step by step. Because when we first signed up for Home Life, we had just switched away from Abeka, I think. Yeah, we had just switched. No, maybe we waited a while. I can't remember. I think we did wait. No, we did switch as soon as we switched away from Abeka, because our other umbrella school was like, oh, Abeka is the greatest, blah, blah, blah. And like everything in that other umbrella school had to be like a curriculum. You couldn't do what we're doing now. You could not piece together your own. It had to be exact and book work. And from what the guidance counselors at the new umbrella school are saying, they did that just because it was easier on them. They didn't actually care about like, is your child actually learning with this? It was what was easier for them. And it's kind of frustrating to think that, you know, for years I was using them and then they just did us this way. So we had the guidance counselor we have because we transferred in as a head of 9th grader for the first time. So she was established with helping people who had just transitioned into home life and having high schoolers for the first time. And she has been a godsend in my life. She has been my support, my strength, and just like, she'll help us do stuff like, I'm like, hey, I have a kid who's missing an elective and needs more electives for her credits. And she's like, well, is she learning like skills classes? And that's the person who told me that, hey, umbrella schools are trying to push more life skill classes because public schools are finally trying to push more life skill classes, and Christian schools and private schools, you know, throw in some life skill classes for her extra credits. Just make sure you're still emphasizing like the literature, the math, the science, the history, but throw in those life skill classes. Give her credit for learning how to do basic skills to survive. From there, we basically went back to basics, wiped everything out and said, okay, what do they need? So the first thing we did was we switched to Khan Academy. This is the only part that's kind of iffy for me, that I'm kind of like, maybe we need to do something different next year. So my 2 visual learners are doing excellent with Khan Academy. And sorry, I keep switching arms because like I haven't stood and vlogged in a while, so my arms are like, big baby, you've been on vacation. Sorry. But so I had 2 kids who, the visual learners, they're both doing excellent with Khan Academy because they use a digital blackboard, teach you step by step by step. My 2 AP class placement ones are not doing well with Khan Academy. They preferred Monarch because if you missed one question, Khan Academy is a mastery program. You have to do everything over again and redo the entire lesson if you miss one question to be able to master it. And my 2 AP ones hate that because they want to just go back and hit like specifically what area of which question you need to go back and look at, not redo like the basic questions and the more advanced questions for each unit, because that's kind of how it is. It's like basic, intermediate, advanced of the questions. They don't want to have to redo the basic questions over and over and over again. They just want to go back, redo the advanced questions and do it again. So I may need to find something else for my 2 AP ones that is more like developed for them. Khan Academy is free. It has a lot of visual learning and written, you know, teaching, learning. So we'll kind of see how that goes. We're going to continue it for this semester just because budget. The other program I'm looking at is like you pay a monthly subscription to use. And right now that's just not really in our budget. If things change and we have a better budget come August where we have a little more flexibility in it, if we get more money from our channel and stuff like that, then I can pay for that monthly fee of putting the kids through, or putting those 2 through that program, and then leave the other 2 with Khan Academy. Honestly, we did mostly stick with it because it was free, but I love the way that they taught, like with the blackboard, step by step, and it was more like to real world teaching of like, it wasn't like old school math teaching. And I mean, if you've seen both, you understand what I'm saying. Literature, the movies as literature has worked amazing. I try not to mention Night Zookeeper too much outside of sponsored videos because everybody thinks now that anytime I mention it, it's a sponsored video, which they do sponsor our channel. We do receive a free account as payment for, you know, once a month mentioning Night Zookeeper in a video, and then we get the free worksheets and all that. Night Zookeeper has been amazing for middle school. For my 7th grader, she's doing great with it. My 8th grader, because technically Night Zookeeper runs through age 12, she's 13. Sometimes she'll still go back on it because they still give her a free account because she's in 8th grade. But she's actually doing children's movies as literature, and I may go back through at the end of the year and talk about what movies we did, what movies we didn't do. Share the free resources from Year-Round Homeschooling with Misty Leask again, and show you how we're using literature, and then also talk about the Springboard book again. But I kind of want to wait until we get all the way through with all of that. But so far with the first semester, that works so great for us, especially with travel schooling. And we travel schooled a whole lot more than I thought we were going to do, especially the last 2 months of this semester. No, last 3. So basically over half the semester, we were traveling a lot. We needed something that we could take on the go, and it was so nice to be able to be like, here's a movie based on the book that you're learning about right now, put it in the DVD player in the van and take it and go. Like, I'd mostly pulled away from DVDs because streaming services, but with the van having a DVD player, when we're on the go, we could just pop in the movie, and then when they came back home, or you could fill out the paperwork while traveling, like paperwork, then they could still do their literature on the go without like having to be stuck to like a Chromebook all the time, and then reviewing stuff that they don't need to review over and over again, like nouns, adjectives, adverbs. Because once you're in high school, honestly, that's just review, and I feel like that was a lot of filler space. So for them, for my AP ones who are reading the entire book to go with it, and for my visual learners who they don't actually have to read, I will plug that in. So they don't actually have to read the book to do movies as literature, because the basis is, can you watch a movie based on a literature and understand the basic concept of the movie. Now, I am more careful with picking movies because of that. And I will say that the 2 visual learners will sometimes still listen to audiobooks about their movies, but they don't have to do that. It's something they don't have to do. And I know that's going to be like really touchy subject to some people, but think about it, like, most people today, whenever we do stuff, like, look at all the Facebook reels, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube reels of like learning how to do stuff, and it's stuff that's been in books for years, but people are just like, I just now learned this because they saw it in a video. So that's kind of where I am with that. And I mean, I'm making a video for you guys to try to inspire you. So I hope you get that. Some people may not like that. You don't have to not do the books. It's just with these 2, like giving them, well, with one of them specifically, giving them a book and telling them to read it and then do a book report on it. No, but because they watch the movie at least first and then go back and review like about the actual book itself, they're more interested in literature now. So I actually love movies as literature. I'm planning on continuing. We're going to do dual enrollment, which is where you take college courses in high school, and you actually get the college course credit, and then you get 2 high school credits per 1 college credit for the class. So like, you're going ahead and taking your college credits, not gonna, but because I have 2 fixing to go in, they're looking at doing a missions college, like a deaf missions college. They didn't need the dual enrollment, and I was talking to the administration's office at the college that they're already looking at going. They're sophomores, so we're not like hardcore, and we try not to like push it too hard, but like, this is already where they know the path they want to go, so why not talk about helping them down the path they want to go. I was talking to the admissions officer, and she was like, don't worry about doing dual enrollment, because number 1, we're a deaf college. Literature for college, like a normal college, is not really a thing. We're training them how to sign to deaf people and reach deaf people and be on the mission field. So that's kind of where we were with that, was like the oldest 2 didn't need those dual enrollment courses, so they're going to do movies as literature all the way through high school. The other 2 are looking at zoology degrees. They're both looking at zoology degrees. One of them might end up doing marine biology, but one of them for sure is wanting to do zoology. And like, they both already have a plan, and they're probably both going to graduate at the same time, even though they're 2 years apart. One of them could, my youngest is 11. She could probably graduate high school right now, but we don't want to have to push that, because like, yes, she could, it would be great, blah, blah, blah. But then she would be going into college at 12 years old, and that's a lot. Like, I'm not just saying that to brag and blah, 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 blah. Like, I actually have proof I could show you guys, but I just don't want her to have to look at college at 12 years old. And I don't feel like I'm holding her back too much. She's still going to graduate at 15, 16. And then she can move on to college after that. But she'll be going into college with a sister, not like going out on her own. So it's kind of, it's really complicated. But anyway, so for them, they're looking at dual enrollment. So they may do, you know, movies as literature until they get to dual enrollment classes. But for now, they're all excelling during dual. Well, the youngest one actually hasn't started movies and literature yet, but she is already planning on doing the advanced placement where you read the books. You have to do history based on when the book was written, and there's like a lot more I can go into about how to do it with. I may do that if y'all are interested. I'll do that in a whole separate video, how to do advanced placement movies as literature, because it's a whole different ballgame from the way I've explained it in movies as literature before. That's math, that's literature. Science, I love the, apparently it's master books, but I called it the Answers in Genesis because we bought it from the Answers in Genesis website. But it's the Biology 101, Physics 101, Chemistry 101 trio set. We've only done the biology so far. One of them is advanced placement. One of them is visual learner. The one who's a visual learner, if she watches the DVD for their biology lesson every single day, then she gets it. Like, she gets it, it's there, she'll remember it, and it's so great to see her thriving through that. My advanced placement student is excelling. Like, she hated science last year. She was ready to quit science because she hated the way Monarch taught science. The science is the one thing I feel like Monarch needs to revamp. Anything after 5th grade. I love the science through 5th grade because it had more like hands-on labs, things like that. Anything after 5th grade, I feel like Monarch needs to revamp because it's just not great. I don't love their science, and it could just be me personally, the way we teach, the way that we love. I prefer more hands-on science versus here's a book, learn from it. I hate that way of teaching. I don't like teaching with here's a book, go do it. I would prefer to do more hands-on learning with science because science is a hands-on learning class. So Monarch, I think, needs to revamp their science program and also like from 6th through 9th grade, it felt like their science was filler space, and I hate filler space. Don't waste my time with filler space. Let me just do what I need to do and let them do what they need to do, and let's just get through it together, but not like waste our time with filler space just so it's there. Like, I get some people like they need that 180 days of a curriculum. We don't, because we have so much other stuff going on in real world where we're going out and doing science hands-on. You've already seen our videos from American Museum of Science and Energy and K25. Like, we have science here in our area. We could go and experiment and hands-on and nature trails and all that. So like, I hate filler space science. So that's why I really didn't like that. But Biology 101, you're learning biology in the real world, and then you're just watching the videos to go with it. So that was another one. Like, we could pop the DVD in the van, watch it on the way there or on our way to somewhere, then change out to a literature one. And my visual learner, like, she didn't like science, and now she loves science because like watching the videos, she gets it. So I am definitely continuing Biology 101 for the 2nd semester. Let's see, I also had my first time using The Good and the Beautiful. We were using their free marine biology PDF program, and my 8th grader loves it. We haven't 100% stuck with just marine biology. We've also added in like AMZ and K25, nature trails. There was time in the fall we had a ton of birds at my grandmother's house. We've been back and forth to. She's still in East Tennessee, we're in East Tennessee. We get birds that she doesn't, she gets birds that we don't. It's so weird to me. We've added in like bird watching for her and for my other one who's doing creation science. So, but like Good and the Beautiful has been amazing because it's just like, she's a visual learner, but like she can still like read the work with it, and then she has like visual assignments like here we're going to learn about the zones of the ocean, and you're going to glue pictures for each one, and she loves like hands-on like that. So like the marine biology for her for 8th grade was perfect, and then my 7th grader is already looking forward to going into it next year. And then for 9th grade we're going to do some zoology classes that are free online. I'll share that all next year. But so far, my first impression with Good and the Beautiful Science, I love it because it teaches a lot more the way I want to teach and allows me to have more freedom to add in more of what I want versus just like sticking to a 180-day filler space program, which is, I think, probably why we are going the way that we're going. The 7th grader is using Answers in Genesis, and honestly, I just print off whatever she's interested in. Oh no, she goes, so we have like specific links from the Answers in Genesis webpage that she goes to use for studying. She spent a lot of the first semester studying like Tower of Babel, because there was so much information on how science proves and how the Tower of Babel affects creation science, and explains so much of things that can only be explained in creation account if you believe the Tower of Babel happened. So we spent a lot of time studying that. And then also, again, like I said, she's also been like bird watching. We've done nature trails. She also watches Biology 101 with the others and answers the questions with them. I have to move her out of the room while they do the quizzes, or she would answer it for them. I don't want 7th grade science to be a filler space. She is still learning, but she's also learning cause she's mature, she's older, she's extremely smart. Like I said, she could have graduated high school by now, but I also want her to be a kid. I want her to still be a kid and say, hey, it's okay to be a kid at 11 years old. So she's an 11-year-old in 7th grade. So I want it to be fun for her, but I also want her to have freedom to say, hey, I still want to color this picture for my school, and is it okay? And it's like, yeah, it's a picture talking about how at the Tower of Babel the language has changed, and now we have different skin colors for different nations, and how the environment changes that. And I want her to be okay with like choosing that, but I want her to also be okay to say, hey, I really don't want to do this assignment. It's more for little kids. Can I just watch the Biology 101 DVD with them? And I'm like, yeah, that's great, because it's Biology 101 is still Answers in Genesis science to me. So I love the way that we've done science this year. History is different for all of them. I will go into a whole nother video. I promise you guys, January is the perfect time for me to film homeschooling videos, because January, we're not going anywhere because February is going to be crazy and we're saving up money for that, number one. Number two, February, usually we have a lot of ice on our roads, and it's just, when you have a hill, it goes like this, and then your road is ice. Yeah, it's not great for driving. So we don't go we don't have any vacation plans at all for January. We're planning on just staying home. It's the perfect time for me to film teaching videos, homeschool videos, and just like around the house stuff. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. But I'll go all into how we're doing 7th grade Tennessee history. In Tennessee, at least, you do Tennessee history in 7th grade. Some other states, you do state history in 5th grade. Some you do it in 7th grade. We chose 7th grade just to stay with this. I don't do my school compared to the public school, but I also still believe like there's some bit of standard that you have there. So we're doing 7th grade Tennessee. I'm watching to see if the kids are waking up. I'm doing some 7th grade, or I'm doing Tennessee history in 7th grade just because, and the others did as well. Well, actually the other two, it was weird, but anyways, they did, one of them did in 5th grade. One of them did it last year-ish. We kind of tied it in with what she was covering in world geography. It was weird to me that Monarch did world geography for 7th grade. But anyways, Monarch didn't actually allow a gap from 5th to 7th grade to do state history. And I thought that was weird, because technically that's when, again, most state standards. But I'll go back into that. But so far we are loving the way we're doing state history. We did more state history doing a science vacation thing over New Year's weekend. So I'll get into that in another video, because it's so cool, you guys. I can't wait to share with you how that's going and how we're doing it. And it's minus the gas mileage, it's free. So it has some gas mileage cost to it, but other than that, it's free. The 8th grader is doing American history. I know there's some conflict right now with American Girl because of some of the books that they've put out recently. But let's talk about just the historical dolls for a minute. The books based on the historical dolls is what we're using to teach American history. And I love it, because it allows my visual free thinker, I guess, I don't know. I know that sometimes that's using a negative context, but like, I love my 8th grade visual learner, because like, she will find the most unique topics to springboard off of. So she'll, like, we read Felicity, and then she had like other questions that she springboard off of to study American Revolution based on Felicity. And we did buy more of like the DVDs of the American Girl movie, the older American Girl movies, Felicity, Molly, Samantha, and Kit. And we're going to use those as well. And then I think for the ones that did not use it for American history, they're also going to use that for children's literature in a different grade. Well, it's all complicated. We'll look at it later. She has loved using it, and I'll talk about all that in another video as well. But we're using American Girl for 8th grade American history, and then my 7th grader will use it again next year as well. We are not going to use it for US history for 11th grade because it's a little different, and American Girl's not really geared towards 11th graders. I'll talk about that next year. But so far for my 8th grader, it's worked out really well because that's something like she can grab an American Girl book, and like when we go to family's house, she can sit in front of their fireplace and read American Girl books, and she loves that. So like that's something really cool that we've been able to do. The other two, so one of them did world history over the summer, and I'm really looking forward to doing that again with my technically she's a rising 9th grader next year. I'm really looking forward to doing it with her to have for 9th grade the way that we did world history with her over the summer. So one of my 10th graders doesn't have history this year. She has Spanish 2 instead. I'll get to that in a minute. And then the other one is doing Shepherd. I'm getting way too long in this. So let's go. So we did Shepherd software for world geography this year, and then I've also been printing off maps. And then for like where this specific child is with school, the umbrella school was okay with us just world geography, give her maps, teach, you know, have her look at maps, memorize the states, the capitals, and give her maps with world geography. I know there's more to it than that usually, like latitude, longitude. We do talk about those things, but mostly world geography is just, it's maps. So we're learning about like regions, countries, oceans, and things like that. But mostly she's playing games on Shepherd software, identifying where each state and capital is, and we've already covered North America, and no, we've covered continents and Europe so far, and then I think we've started another one. I don't know, but like, so that's what she's doing for that. Spanish 2, we did go back to Monarch because I believed once you start with one, you need to finish with the other. And actually, that was one thing I did love about Monarch, is the way that they teach foreign language, or at least they have Spanish. The way they teach Spanish was you went country by country, and then as you go, like you talk about like, well, this country says it this way, well, this country says it this way. One country actually speaks Spanish, and then countries that we thought speak Spanish actually speak Portuguese. And there's also times that like last year, no, over the summer this year, she actually spoke Spanish ordering her own food at a Mexican restaurant. Really cool. So we did stick with that because other classes that we're doing would be, we're doing an ASL 2 class. It's really complicated for me because like homeschooling, you know, normally I'm the teacher, I have full control of this, but this is like something I have to actually drive her to once a week, and we go to, and it's going okay, but this is my last one who's probably going to take ASL for a credit. I am hard of hearing, so like I don't sign as much in the videos anymore because I don't feel like I sign really well, and because I sign so slow right now, so I don't sign in my videos anymore unless like I just feel like I want to, because it just felt like I was not signing to the quality that I would want to do to communicate with people. I try to just keep the captions open and work on those, so I've not been signing, but we use ASL in our home. I'm not super worried about like her mastering this class because it just feels like we're doing sign language at home anyways, it'll be fine. We're taking her to the class, she's learning some new things, but mostly ASL in our home is just ASL in our home. The other two are actually going to take different foreign languages because of fields of study that they're looking into later. But again, so ASL is ASL. I'm doing the class basically because I feel like I have to, and because she's going into a deaf school, so she has to take a deaf class. But it also kind of feels like, it kind of feels like, you know, if I was giving English as a foreign language in our home, I guess is the best way to explain how I kind of feel about like one of my kids having to take ASL, is like I wouldn't give my kids English as a foreign language class, so giving ASL as a foreign language class when we use it in our home. So it's kind of weird to me. But anyways, art is going really well. Mostly for that, it's just like free range. And like there's times that I can just be like, you know, or I don't even have to prompt them. Art is something that they choose to do. And they're not just like sitting down and drawing every day. They're looking at books, inspiration. And one day, like we took half a day off because we had like migrating birds on our front porch. So they started drawing the birds that they saw on the front porch. And then talking about different bird styles. And we have a book that teaches you how to draw different beaks and things, and they were looking at that. So I don't really push art because it just kind of happens naturally in our home. Cooking has been really fun. I'm going to do a whole video about that, and then for their final, I'm thinking about having them like go to a store and they have to buy the week's groceries by themselves, like I'll drive them and be there, but like by themselves have to go in, buy a week's worth of groceries and then prep it, meal plan it and all that, just together. And then I'm also going to do separate days, like have one of them do a meal completely by herself and then do another one, a meal completely by herself, just for the final credit. But that's basically it. It's been terrifying. There's a little bit more paperwork with it because like I'll have them write down in their planners. The planners are the biggest help to get through teaching this way, but like I'll have them write in their planners, we did this for science today, we did this, and this, and it's been a huge help for that. And I do have like spreadsheets that I keep for their literature programs and all that, but it was scary going into it. It's still kind of scary some days of like, are they actually learning enough? But then there's days that just like that moment of, wow, they did learn this. They've got this. Just let them learn. Just let them be kids and let them learn their way, and we'll make it through this. But that's it for today's video, guys, because my kids probably should be getting up anytime soon, and I'm going to get back to laundry until they do. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you feel like it, we have membership now for as low as 99 cents a month to help do a membership on our channel. That'll help keep us going. And we do have members only videos that we try to put up as often as we can. I'm looking for new ideas as well, but whether you can give membership or not, whether you can subscribe or not, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.